What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my Week 18 top 25 rankings a few weeks before March Madness, and this is where I have the top 25 best teams ranked heading into some conference tournaments. Dropping from my rankings, you have Texas Tech, New Mexico, and Dayton. After a loss last week, they are falling from my rankings, but they stay in my others receiving votes, along with teams like both from Florida with FAU and Florida with that tough loss to South Carolina. They get that upset win, more than likely they were going to jump into my rankings. But we'll look at 25 through 21. And this is where we have two new teams joining with BYU and USF. BYU keeps it rolling here. They're starting to figure things out late. Two wins. It's a big one against Kansas on the road, really boosting their resume. USF one win at Charlotte by 15 points, and they're running the American Conference right now. 15-1 in that conference. And then you got two Mountain West teams, San Diego State and Utah State, both taking care of business last week and staying at their rankings. And then you have Washington State as well, beating both of the California teams in the Pac-12. And they have one game to finish it off this week with Washington, a big rivalry game for them. 20 through 16, this is where St. Mary's falls some spots after their first loss in the Western Coast Conference, and that's to the team at 19 that's entering the rankings yet again is the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They're starting to figure it out as well. They had a lapse early in the season, in the middle of the season, but now here they are back and better. They're really figuring it out going into the West Coast tournament. Then Nevada stays put as well with some close victories in their conference. South Carolina moves up too because of St. Mary's falling. South Carolina's a team that I think could get upset in March Madness. This team is very good, but they keep games close, and come March, you don't want to have that label put on you. The Gamecocks are 24-5 though, so they do know how to win those games at the end, but it's definitely a slippery slope, especially now in March. Then Alabama, a team that goes on the road, plays a great game, scores over 100 points, but then the loss at home against Tennessee was a tough one as they were in that game to the last 20 seconds. Just couldn't get a shot to fall, had to foul to try to get back in that one. But Alabama's still a very good team. 15 through 11. This is where you find Kansas. In Kansas, its lowest ranking, I think, to date with me. Two losses, one at home, one on the road. The loss to BYU at home was kind of a shocker. Didn't see that one coming. Then the one at Baylor, I think a lot of people saw Baylor running away or possibly getting that win to get an upper hand in that conference, the Big 12, going into the last week of the season before the tournament. And Baylor obviously moves up there, 3 spots with their 2 wins last week. In Kentucky, they love to play Saturday on CBS. The last 2 times they've done that, last week and the week after before that, was both times over 100 points, and they are just playing some great basketball right now. Kentucky, tough test at Tennessee this week on Saturday, which will be a good one. Then you have Auburn staying put, a win and the loss at Tennessee, but responded well with a 15-point victory at home against Mississippi State. So they're staying put. And then Marquette, I'm dropping them out of my top 10 with that loss at Creighton. It was a tough loss to say the least, but how much? By a 14-point loss, not good look for a top 10 team. And then they get rewarded with a game against UConn at home to start this week, which could be a very big game for Marquette heading into the later parts of March. 10 through 6, Creighton and Illinois jump into the top 10 here after Creighton's big week with 2 wins and that win over Marquette. And they have one game this week at Villanova to finish their Big East play. 2 wins. They scored a lot of points this week. Minnesota took care of them by 8 and then also beat Wisconsin by 8 as well on the road. But they get Purdue early in the week in a game that could be a preview of the Big Ten championship, then finish at Iowa. North Carolina and Duke both with 2 wins last week, where Duke manhandled their opponents. North Carolina let theirs stick around, but wins are wins at this point in the year. And they get to face each other last game of ACC play, and it could be a big one for seeding heading into that ACC tournament. And then Arizona, 2 wins as well, really took care of their opponents. That Oregon game felt like they were winning by 30 off of the jump because it was just pure domination. And they get both California teams on the road to finish their Pac-12 play. 5 through 1 all stay the same here. And it's because all of these teams didn't really fall. Houston, I guess, was the biggest one that almost fell. That win at Oklahoma only by 2 points really kind of shifted some momentum there as they escaped out a tough win there on the road. Then Iowa State, same thing for them at UCF. Really didn't look like they were going to win that game until the last 3 minutes of the game where they just dominated and showed that they were the better team. And then you have Tennessee, Purdue, and UConn. I think Purdue, that score didn't reflect how much they dominated that game. They were in that one till 10 minutes left where they started to pull away. Tennessee finding ways to win big games, and they get rewarded with 2 last week ranked matchups, 2 tough games. They get rewarded with 2 more to close out SEC play. But 13-3 in the SEC this year is no joke, and that's a pretty good achievement to say the least. And then UConn, obviously, right now, as I mentioned a few slides ago, going on the road to face Marquette in a big game for both of those programs, possibly the #1 seed at the line there. And then same for Purdue. They're going on the road to face Illinois in a very big game, possible Big Ten championship. That's going to be it for my Week 18 rankings. Check back next week as I dive into conference tournaments, see who I'm going to take, and to see what teams are ranked in the top 25. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.